What if I told you there are private jets so cheap that millionaires actually avoid them? We're talking about aircraft that cost less than a luxury car, but come with hidden challenges that make even wealthy buyers run away. Today on Rich Life Reports, we're exposing these 7 jets are so cheap. Even millionaires don't want them, and the reasons why will shock you. Some of these jets cost under $100,000 but have operating expenses that could bankrupt you. Welcome back to Rich Life Reports, where we uncover the truth behind luxury purchases that seem too good to be true. I'm your host, and today we're diving into the dark side of affordable aviation. If you've ever wondered why some jets are suspiciously cheap, this video will reveal the expensive secrets that sellers don't want you to know. Make sure to subscribe to Rich Life Reports and hit that notification bell because we're about to save you from some very costly mistakes. Starting at number 7, the Dassault Falcon 10, available for around $400,000 to $600,000. While this seems like incredible value for a Dassault jet, there's a reason millionaires avoid it. The Falcon 10 burns an astronomical amount of fuel, over 200 gallons per hour, making operating costs around $4,500 per hour. That's more expensive than many larger, more modern jets. The aircraft also requires specialized maintenance that can only be performed at certain facilities, often requiring expensive ferry flights just for routine service. What looks like a bargain quickly becomes a money pit. A typical 3-hour flight costs $13,500 in operating expenses alone. That's $4,500 per hour to move just 4 passengers. At number 6, the Rockwell Sabreliner 65, available for $300,000 to $500,000. This 1960s business jet seems like great value until you discover the maintenance nightmare. The Sabreliner uses engines that are no longer in production, making parts incredibly expensive and difficult to find. A single engine overhaul can cost $400,000, nearly the price of the entire aircraft. Insurance companies often refuse to cover these jets due to parts availability issues, and when they do, premiums can exceed $50,000 annually. Here on Rich Life Reports, we've seen buyers purchase these jets only to discover they can't legally fly them without spending more on maintenance than the aircraft is worth. Number 5 will shock you. The Grumman Gulfstream I, available for $200,000 to $400,000. While the Gulfstream name suggests luxury, this turboprop predecessor to the famous jetline is a maintenance nightmare. The aircraft requires specialized mechanics familiar with 1960s systems, and finding qualified technicians is nearly impossible. Annual maintenance costs often exceed $150,000, and that's assuming nothing major breaks. The pressurization system is notoriously unreliable, often failing mid-flight and requiring expensive emergency landings. Many owners discover that keeping a Gulfstream I airworthy costs more per year than buying a newer, more reliable aircraft. At number 4, the Lockheed Jetstar, available for $150,000 to $300,000. This iconic 1960s jet looks impressive but hides expensive secrets. The Jetstar burns over 400 gallons of fuel per hour. That's $2,400 in fuel costs alone for a single hour of flight. The 4-engine configuration means 4 times the engine maintenance, with each engine requiring overhaul every 3,500 hours at a cost of $200,000 per engine. Insurance companies classify it as a high-risk aircraft due to its age and complexity, resulting in annual premiums that can exceed the aircraft's purchase price. What seems like owning a piece of aviation history quickly becomes an expensive hobby that even millionaires can't justify. Number 3 is truly frightening. The Sud Aviation Caravelle, available for $100,000 to $200,000. This French airliner conversion seems like incredible value for a large cabin jet, but the operating costs are astronomical. The Caravelle burns over 500 gallons of fuel per hour and requires a 2-pilot crew, adding $1,000 plus per hour in crew costs. Maintenance must be performed to airline standards, meaning every inspection costs tens of thousands of dollars. Parts are nearly impossible to find, and when available, they cost more than the aircraft itself. Many buyers discover that a single annual inspection can cost $200,000, more than they paid for the plane. The runner-up is absolutely terrifying. The Hawker Siddeley HS 125 Series 1, available for $80,000 to $150,000. This early business jet seems like incredible value until you discover the hidden costs. The aircraft uses engines that are no longer supported by the manufacturer, making parts availability a constant nightmare. The fuel system is notoriously unreliable, often requiring complete replacement at a cost of $100,000 plus. Avionics are so outdated that many airports won't allow the aircraft to land due to navigation equipment requirements. Insurance companies often refuse coverage entirely, and, when available, premiums can exceed $75,000 annually for an aircraft worth less than $150,000. And now, the jet so cheap that even millionaires won't touch it. The de Havilland Comet 4C, available for an incredible $50,000 to $100,000. This historic jetliner seems like the ultimate aviation bargain until you discover why it's so cheap. The Comet burns over 600 gallons of fuel per hour, requires a 3-pilot crew, and needs airline-level maintenance that costs $500,000 plus annually. Parts are virtually impossible to find, and the few remaining examples often sit as hangar queens because they're too expensive to maintain. The aircraft requires specialized ground equipment that costs more than most people's houses. What looks like owning a piece of aviation history becomes a financial nightmare that would challenge even billionaire budgets. These 7 aircraft prove that in aviation, cheap acquisition costs often hide astronomical operating expenses. While the purchase prices seem attractive, the total cost of ownership can exceed that of much newer, more expensive aircraft. The reason millionaires avoid these jets isn't snobbery, it's financial intelligence. They understand that the real cost of aircraft ownership isn't the purchase price, it's the ongoing expenses that can drain your wealth for years. If you're considering any of these aircraft, remember that cheap jets are usually cheap for a reason. Always factor in operating costs, parts availability, insurance requirements, and maintenance complexity before making a purchase. Sometimes the most expensive aircraft to buy is actually the cheapest to own. Here on Rich Life Reports, we always recommend doing thorough due diligence before making any major purchase. Which of these aviation money pits surprised you the most? Have you ever been tempted by a suspiciously cheap aircraft? Let me know in the comments below. If this video saved you from making a costly mistake, make sure you're subscribed to Rich Life Reports for more insider warnings about luxury purchases that seem too good to be true. We're here to help you make smart financial decisions, not expensive mistakes. Until next time, remember, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is.